Hello, this is, well, you know who I am. I'm with Property Mob, the makers of Badass Investors. And I've got a question from one of our mobsters today. This is from, let me get his name, make sure I get it right. Gerald Spencer in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hey, Gerald, out there. And his question is, can you walk me through your first wholesale deal? How you found the property, how you found the end buyer, created the contracts, title companies, your expectations. Was it easier or harder than you expected? How long it took to close? Just the whole first experience wholesaling property. Much appreciated, and you are awesome. So thank you very much for that compliment. That's cool. Um, and actually, I love this question because people don't usually ask about the first deal to get the details about it. And I love to tell the story because it was the defining moment when I knew life as I know it would never be the same. I mean, this was actually the turning point where, we decided this was what we were going to do to make, our income. So we were both 25 years old, Dan and I, when we started wholesaling, and very determined to make a wholesale deal happen. We powered through some tough times at first. We both quit our jobs at the same time and decided that we needed to focus 100% on this new career, this new path of wholesaling. We bought a very inexpensive course on eBay on how to wholesale houses and studied it for over and over and over again until we felt like we got an understanding of what the business was. And then we, implemented that stuff, which is the most important part of making something happen, is implementing what you learn and watching it come to fruition. So we didn't have a lot of money to spend on marketing. We did have time, though, so you got to kind of have one or the other, either money or time. We didn't know anything about outsourcing marketing. I mean, the internet was not a powerful hub like it is now, where you can pretty much find all the information that you want. It's at your disposal now in forums and websites that you can become members of and such. So we kind of had to figure this out on our own, how to get this deal to work, how to get this business to work. So what we did, we got a tip from another investor here who told us to market to unsafe structures, which is people that own properties that have code violations from the city for whatever reason. It could be the grass is too high, it could be broken windows, or it's open and abated, just so many burnouts. There's a lot of reasons that there are code violations. So we had the list. We got the list for free from the city of Jacksonville. And we would, now at that time we had dial-up internet. We had one desktop Windows computer. We don't like Windows. Windows sucks. And we were sharing this. So we were cross-referencing the information, trying to find mailing addresses for these people. And then, get this. This is a true story. Cross my heart, hope to die. Stick a needle in my eye. We printed, because we didn't have money to print postcards. We bought 4x6, the 4x6 index cards that kids use in school for notes, and the blank ones. And we printed them, printed the message, we'll buy your house cash as is, yada yada, on this 4x6 index card. And we just let them print all night long on our inkjet printer. We'd wake up to index cards all over the floor. And then we would, compile them up and hand address them, using the research that we had done, cross-referencing the sellers, and then mail them out. As we got the money to put postage stamps on the cards, we'd mail them out. So sometimes we could only mail a few a day. Sometimes we'd say, hey, well, let's mail 100 today. But that was the most important part. We knew that too, was to generate the leads. When the phone rang in our house, both of us broke our neck to get to the phone to answer it. We did, take all of our own calls, do all of our pre-screening and analyzing of the deal. Everything was, we were brand new, so it was very exciting. And we celebrated every time the phone rang. We did have a separate line. Back then we used Vonage. We had a separate line for sellers to call, and it rang in our little home office. So Whenever it did, we were like, oh, it's the seller calling. We'd run in there even if we were sleeping or whatever. Um, so our first deal that we got was a a duplex, and it was in the ghetto. And we weren't very familiar with the neighborhood or the multifamily, units. Had not really done a lot of research on that. But we went ahead and negotiated this contract with the seller. She had actually inherited the property from her sister. So it was a probate, but it had some code violations from the city. So that's how we got our hands on it. We ended up getting a contract for $12,000 on the property. We weren't sure if we paid too much, but based on the research we had done and the knowledge we had to this point, we felt like, this is probably something that we can sell and make some money on. We didn't know how much. We had no idea. I mean, we're going one step at a time and just trying to figure this whole thing out. I mean, you can read and read and read and listen and learn, but until you actually do it, it's a totally different, procedure. When you start putting the stuff in action and seeing it come to life, then, it's you slow down a little bit, or you don't, and it starts to make sense. But we used a contract that we got from the course that we had bought, the very inexpensive and affordable one. It was, I can't remember the guy's name now, but it was good. I mean, it gave you the basics, that's all we needed at this point was the basics. We didn't need anything advanced. And the seller signed the contract. I didn't even meet this seller. She wanted me to send the contract to her attorney, which I did. He was actually in the process of doing the probate for her, or had handled the probate. So I sent the contract to him, and she went into his office and signed it. So I never even met the seller on this particular deal, which was, fine with me. By the way, I ended up doing a lot of closings with that very same attorney. He ended up being, funny, entertaining. I liked him. So we ended up doing business with him. But anyway, so back then, this is in 1998. Back then, Craigslist was not even, something that people used as a gateway to advertise their properties. So we did bandit signs. I think we might have even done some newspaper ads, and then, of course, talking to some fellow investors about the deal that we had. And, most of the buyers are going to come from, well, now it's going to be Craigslist ads. That's where we get a lot of them. And then, bandit signs generate leads every time for sellers and buyers. So we got an offer on this property, and we accepted it. We didn't even negotiate. We were just so excited that we had somebody that wanted to buy this duplex that we took it. We took the offer, signed the contract with them, sent it to the attorney, and 7 days later, we closed. Very easy process. It was simple. It was no haggling. It was smooth. We made $1,200. So, which doesn't sound like a lot, now, or may not sound like a lot to you, but when you go from working 40 hours a week to make $1,200 to being able to make $1,200 in, just with a few hours of work, well, I tell you, give or take the hours you spend if you have to do some of the legwork yourself, you got to factor that in. But $1,200 walking away at closing with a check for that was quite satisfying and was enough to say, this is something I can do over and over and over again. It worked just like it says it's going to, and I'm going to make this happen again and again. And ever since then, that's exactly what we've been doing, is implementing that very same procedure and doing wholesale deals. Now we do between 3 and 5 every month, and our average is much higher than $1,200 on a deal. But we were happy with that. It was our first one, and I wouldn't take it back, for anything. So it's definitely, a learning process. It's easy money. Wholesaling is, once you learn it, you have to be patient. If you have any level of determination to succeed in the wholesaling business, then you have to be patient. You have to understand there's a learning curve involved, and you have to learn the process and learn the numbers and the formulas and the jargon and the techniques before you're actually going to be able to throw away any other income source that you might have and rely on this solely. But it is possible. If you stick with it, everything will come to fruition. If you follow, the system, there may be 1,000 different people out there that are wholesaling, and they are going to show you the way to do it. There's, it's quite simple. It's, a circle of business. You generate the leads, you negotiate the deal, you get it under contract, you find a buyer, and you go to closing. That's the element of wholesaling in a nutshell. So learn everything that you need to know, and one day it will happen for you as well. So stick in there, and don't give up if this is something that you want to do. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, actually I would love for your comments on the YouTube channel. Property Mob is the YouTube channel, or right on the website, propertymob.com, right underneath the video. Actually, on the website, I have a picture of the house, of the duplex. That was my very first deal. It doesn't look like in the photo, I got it off of Google Maps today, but it doesn't look in the photo like it did when we got it under contract. It was actually dark green with like tan trim. And so it was, didn't have a great curb appeal. It's okay now, not great, but anyway, there's a picture of it on the website if you want to go check that out, propertymob.com. And feel free to ask me questions. I love them. Keep them coming, and hopefully I'm making some badass investors out there. Y'all take care.